everyone, welcome to our small footprint. My name is Nyssa, and if you're new here, we are a family of 8 who live off-grid in Australia. Today is like day 3 or 4 of our food prep after our 10-week grocery haul, and Sonnet and Apollo are helping me today with the clearance oranges and limes that we got, so we're starting to juice them. So I bought a new Kmart juicer that Apollo's using for the limes and that, but we also have a commercial juicer here that a neighbour lent us. It's no good for the limes because they're too small, it just doesn't work, but they're really good for the oranges and really quick, so that's what we're doing at the moment. So Sonnet is doing juice, so she's got 1 container of juice already, and we're going to start putting it in to the half-gallon jars for the moment, and we'll just keep going. I haven't actually decided exactly what I'm doing with the juice yet. We might make some orange honey gummies because I got the new gelatin in the mail this morning, so we can make... Oh, you want some orange cordial, do you? Yeah, so we might do some orange cordial, maybe orange lime cordial. So that sort of thing, but for the moment we're just going to get through a nice big quantity of them juiced.
After I'm done with this load of thing, we should swap and I do the orange.
Yeah. So it works really well. It is a little bit finicky at times, and the spinning when you lift it is sometimes a little disconcerting, but it does work really well. Now, ideally, we would dehydrate these to use as fire starters this winter, and we will attempt to do some of them, but we did try last year and had issues with ants. We just couldn't get them to dehydrate before the ants got to them. Now, I might be getting a dehydrator on a sponsorship, which would be awesome, and if we do, then that will really help, but they should dehydrate just in the sun. It's just that they have to be protected somewhere in the sun, and we just don't have many places. But we will try and dehydrate a bunch of them, because when they're in halves like this, you can fill them with paraffin and a bit of sawdust and things like that, and even some herbs and stuff and dry it. And then you can use these to start the fire, which is free compared to, well, not free because you still have to buy the other stuff, but instead of buying commercial made
$20
fire starters, these work better and they smell better, and just it's a neat thing the kids get to do as well. They can melt all the paraffin and that and pour it in and let them set. So that's the plan. So what we'll do is we'll pick the best of them. Like some have, like this one's got a hole through the bottom of it, so that wouldn't be so great, and this one's torn. So the ones, we'll just pick the best of the lot which have no holes in them, are nice and solid. Maybe try and pull some of this flesh out, and then we'll put them aside and try and get them dehydrated. Apollo's using the new, so the Kmart one. These are only $15 at Kmart, and they work really well, just not indefinitely. We work them pretty hard. So the last one died last time we had a bunch of things to do, so we bought a new one. I think it's still worth the $15 for the amount of time that they last. So I'm going to grab him a half-gallon jar as well to tip that into, and we're just, as I said, keeping on going. So one of the things that was requested is some cordial. So I have the tops of the strawberries that we froze the other day here. This will make the cordial a really pretty colour. They don't add huge amounts of flavour, but they do give some really nice colour. So we've got those punnets of those in there, and then I'm going to do 50-50 juice of the 2 different juices. So what I might do is take this to that point of the jar. So what's that? That is 2 quarts, a litre of orange juice. So I'm going to put that in there first, and then I'll put a litre of the lime juice as well. It's about a litre of lime juice as well. I'm tempted to do like 1.5 the orange to lime though, because the lime's going to be really tart and the orange is going to be sweeter. So
no, you gotta do a whole thing of that stuff.
I might do...
I did. We did the same amount of time in both of them.
It's alright. If you finish doing what you're doing, then just pause. You finish doing what you're doing. And then, so I'm going to add another 500 mils of that orange juice. So we got 1.5 and 1-ish. And then I'm going to add 1.5 litres of water as well, which will evaporate a bit. Now I'm going to turn this on and get this started, and then You can either strain it and then add put it back on the boil and add the sugar, which is sometimes better because then you're not losing some of that sugar in the fruit. So we might just put this up to a simmer for 10-15 minutes and then strain it and then add the sugar. So I just need a lighter, please. And we'll just turn the pot on low, and we'll get all this sort of emulsified, all the different flavours emulsified, and then I'll strain all those solids out and we'll add the sugar. All right, we're getting to the ends of, we've got 2 half-gallon jars of orange juice. We've almost got a half-gallon jar of lime, so we're going to stop there for a bit. This has come all the way up to a simmer and it's changed colour, so which is what I was aiming for with those strawberry tops, so it's sort of a pinky orange colour now. So I've turned the heat off and I'm just going to put a lid on it to steep because I wanted it a bit cooler to strain it, but also because I'm doing other stuff, so that'll let even more of that strawberry just sort of permeate the rest of it. So I'm just going to put a lid on it and let it to steep while we get everything else done. One of the flaws in shopping seasonally and in bulk is that at certain parts of the year you have this massive excess of things, and I know full well that it's going to come in handy later. So this is strawberry mango blend from last shopping trip. I had forgotten that I had these containers stashed up the back of the freezer with them because we've been using stuff that I'd already frozen as well. So I'm pulling these out so that I can do I'll probably do some orange juice with the pulp in these, because they'll just make a really nice base to like maybe some orange creamsicle smoothies or something. There is still half a box of oranges to go, and I've lost the kids. They did a lot and I'm grateful, but they're pretty much gone, which is fine. They're inside on schoolwork now. So I'll keep going on my own, which is fine. So I'll put some of the pulpy orange juice in some of these to go in, as I said, like I think orange creamsicle smoothie pops would be really nice, or the bases of some fruity type smoothies. And so I just need a Ziploc bag for these to go in the freezer so that I can reuse these containers. It's a mess because there's just juice everywhere. Grabbed a couple of bags from the freezer. This one has had strawberry in it by the looks of it, and the other one's had banana in it, so I don't know if I'll need both or not. So we will put these in the freezer just like this, and these will be used. Again, as I said, because I have the Thermomix and it's so high powered, give these 10 minutes on the bench and add a bit of liquid to them, and you can use these. I don't know if that'll zip up that way, I don't think it will. You can use these in smoothies even at this size block, or I can defrost it and use it for jams or whatever. Defrost it before putting it, however you want to use it. But having the Thermomix definitely means that I've got the option to just throw it in. See, this one's had some banana in it. Throw it in the Thermomix with other things. So if you don't have something like a Thermomix, you can't intend to freeze it in this sort of size with the same sort of usage. That's all I'm trying to say. Man, brain work. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly run these back up to the freezer. Now, the beauty of the freezer pods over those silicone baking trays is that these have the silicone bottoms, but they have a wire rim. So they're a little bit more expensive. These are from Kmart as well than the baking ones, but they also come with lids, though only 2 of them had lids when I went to see them. And when I went to Kmart the other day, they didn't have any. So I might need to try and order some online, though I did find I really need some new, what do you call it? The sticks for smoothies. And I have that open inside, and Kavik is where I buy them from. And they have some freezer pods on special. So I was going to try some of theirs and see, because I really like their ice block molds and other things. So I feel like I would probably like their freezer pods as well. So see, this is where we sit here and we go, how much do I want to do? Because that was half a gallon and a little bit more to fill these. Now, I may as well fill the 4th one because there's enough room in the freezer for these 4 to go, because I just took them out of the freezer. And then we're left with only like a litre of orange juice left. So I should probably juice more, though I used 1.5 litres in the Cordial. What am I going to use it for? I just don't know. I could make jam. Like, The kids didn't like, last time I used the whole flesh and made like a pulpy jam, the kids weren't fans. But this is pulpy without being pulpy. Like, you know, parents will understand where I'm coming from there. So maybe this would make a nice jam juiced through with enough pulp to make it not a jelly, because I'm not a huge fan of making jellies unless they're like jelly treats, not jellies for spreading on things. Man, the different terms here. So I like it to have some texture, and this might just be just enough texture to make it worthwhile as jam. So I think because the oranges were only 50 cents a kilo and some of them are going yuck and I don't have anywhere to put them, I probably just want to juice them all. And worst comes to worst, I freeze the juice in Ziploc bags if that's what it takes. I can vacuum seal juice too because I have the chamber vacuum sealer. It's just that it's not particularly accessible at the moment. Lime juice, I want to freeze in some really small ice cubes because I love we've been throwing pieces of lime. The last lot of limes we got, we cut into pieces and froze the pieces, and it's great, except that I find sometimes I drink the drink before that lime has a chance to defrost and really permeate the drink. So I'm actually going to freeze the lime juice I still think I've got some raspberries in the freezer. So what we did was I'm rambling again. We had raspberries frozen in ice cube trays, and then we had the frozen lime pieces. This time I think I want to put a raspberry in the tray and freeze lime juice over the top of it so it defrosts into the drink straight away. Anyway, let me get these into the freezer, catch my breath, have a drink, and then hopefully I'll come back without rambling. Okay, so in regards to the lime juice, a lot of what I use lime juice for is cooking, and you only need like a couple of teaspoons. So I managed to find these standard ice trays in the Tupperware cupboard that badly needs a clean up, and their lids. So I'm just going to fill these 3 with just, I think each cavity, I did work it out at some point, I think it's 2 teaspoons per cavity or something, like 10 mils per cavity or something. It's just a standard ice cube size. It's what I'd use if I'm making like green curry and I want lime juice in green curry. I'd use now I could cannel this, which would save the freezer space, and I understand that, but it means pasteurizing it and stuff, and it still means either lots and lots of little jars with using up the lids, or bigger jars that I have to make sure I use within a certain amount of time of opening them, and neither of those is fantastic for lime juice. Now the lids are missing their little caps off the top, but that's fine because it still means I can stack them, and that's the main thing. I gave them everything a clean, though this is my house. Anyone who hasn't been here before, my entire kitchen is outdoors. My Tupperware cupboard it's a cupboard if the children close it. It's a closed cupboard, but that's asking a little much. So this one needs a bit of clean, but I have washed these. They're just, dust accumulates on everything in my house. So those 3 can go in the freezer just like that. And so we've got like, what are they? However many is each, which 2 teaspoons worth in each little cavity. So they will go in the fridge. And then these ones are a little bit tinier again. And these are the ones that are good for the soda stream. Now, as I said, I wanted to put like a raspberry or 2 and then the lime juice, but the bag of raspberries is somewhere in the freezer and I just can't find it at the moment. So all I'm going to do is fill these, and when I find the raspberries, you can just put a raspberry and a lime ice cube in with the soda stream or lemonade or whatever, and it's just one of my favorite drinks. A little bit of vanilla, lemonade, lime juice, and raspberry. Just, yeah, one of my favorites. So like that, topped up, and I'm going to freeze these as well. There we go. So these ones come with lids too. These ones were from Amazon. I think someone bought these ones for me. They weren't cheap, but they're such a good shape, though they don't have the rigid sides, so they are, when they're full of liquid, they're not too bad, but they're not great to pick up either. Anyway, I'm going to stick them in the freezer, and then, let's see, we need to strain the cordial. I need to sort these skins out, and I have to decide what I'm doing with the rest of it. So first up, I'll get these in the freezer. All right, let's strain the cordial before I move on to deciding what else I'm doing, because I'm getting a little overwhelmed with what I'm going to do next. So I've got my colander here, and I'm going to drain the cordial mix into the bowl. Now, hopefully I can fit all this in and then transfer it back to this pot. But I might need another container somewhere, or to transfer it to one of those jars maybe. We're just gonna do what we need to do. I need a spatula. And we're not pushing the pulp through the colander because we don't want to add more pulp. I'm just lifting it so that the excess liquid goes through and the solids stay on top. Now I need something for the solids to go in as well, don't I? Let's just transfer that here. The chickens will adore any of these, and see if we can, pour a bit more in, get a bit more drained out. Now you could hang these on like on a, what do you call it, like with cloth, and hang it and get more liquid out of the pulp, but I'm not overly worried about that at the moment. The little bit of extra liquid will just go to the animals, so I'm just going to transfer this into here so that I can use the bowl to drain more without it being too full, because if this is sitting in, then it doesn't drain as well. You know, just making my life difficult for myself. And just the last little bit. Alright, then I'm just going to give this pot a wipe out so that there's no chance of solids being left in it. And then we're just going to transfer all this back in. Now, I am curious as to how much it ends up being, just to have a think about the quantity of sugar that I want to add. So this is, where are we? Up to the, so that's 2 litres of juice. I'm a little close to the camera, sorry guys. I'm running out of bench. So this is 2 litres. Oh, it's hot. And then we'll see. So that's another 2 litres and just a little bit on the bottom. All right. So we've got 4 and a bit litres of liquid. Now, orange juice is pretty sweet, so we might start off with a quarter worth of sugar. So a kilo of sugar to the 4 kilos of juice. A lot of cordials have 1-to-1. So a standard cordial recipe that you will read has about 1-to-1. 1 portion of juice or liquid to 1 portion of sugar. Now that is far, far too sweet for our tastes, because that's not how we have things. But it also seems completely unnecessary for us. So I normally do around about a quarter to a third. This is the orange juice is really sweet, the strawberries are really sweet, but it's got the lime juice in it as well. And I am going to add a little bit of tartaric and citric because that helps to prevent fermentation. So this is a 2 kilo, so I'm going to start with half of this. I'll dissolve it, I'll add the acids, and then we'll see how we go. Oh. So let's put half of this in, which still seems like a lot of sugar, but do remember that This is a cordial, so it's mixed in like a 1 to 10. 1 part this, 9 parts water or soda water. So we've got about half of that. I do have the end of a bag here as well, which is probably like another 500 grams if I need it. But I'm going to try this first. I'm going to get this heated up. Let's move it to... Now, being a citrus-based cordial, I can probably get away without any citric acid, but I'm just going to add a teaspoon just because the combination of the citric acid and tartaric acid and that just makes for a better end product, generally speaking. So I'm just going to put a teaspoon of the citrus, but I'm going to put a tablespoon of the tartaric, because the tartaric is what helps inhibit fermentation. So do that. I'm going to get this sugar dissolved and I'll give it a taste. So the sugar and the citric and tartaric also help with color. If you can it without color, without any of that, which you can, it's within safe limits. If I did a pH test on this, it would be fine. The color isn't as good. So the citric acid, tartaric acid, and the sugar all help to really make it a bright, fresh color as well. So, and citric acid really pulls flavors too. Like it really makes it brightly flavored as well. It seems to, it's like adding salt to something. Like, you know, when you're cooking something or chocolate or something, you add a pinch of salt and it makes that flavor really pop. The citric acid does similar in things like this, so it's worth using. So I'm just going to simmer this until all the sugar is completely gone, and then I'll give it a bit of a taste test and I'll decide if I think it needs some more sugar. Okay, all the sugar's dissolved and I've just tasted it. It is very tart, which is to be expected with all that lime in there. I'm going to add this bit of sugar that was sitting in the bottom of this bag as well, which looks to be about 500 grams. And that might be enough. The thing is that it's a bit like when you're making things that are frozen. You know how I always say that if you're making something that you're freezing, ice cream, smoothie pops, whatever, it needs to be a bit stronger and a little bit sweeter because it tastes different once it's frozen. Cordial's a little bit the same. If it doesn't taste sweet, overly sweet at this point, then it's going to be a struggle to use it as cordial. So we don't need it super sweet, not like a lot of people, but it is nice to have that. This was like mouth pinchingly sour. We want to take just a little bit off that to be just a touch sweeter. It's still going to be mineral water-esque because it's going to be that tart fruit sort of a flavor, but we just want to take that you know, that eye squinting taste, you know, bit of sour off it. So that's the goal. That 500 grams should be just enough to do that. It's lovely and strong though, which is great. So I'm just going to get this sugar dissolved. There's a plane going over. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it's loud. Get the sugar to dissolve because you don't want to can it with sugar crystals in there because it can recrystallize on the shelf. So once this is done, I'll put a lid on it again and I'll let it sit for a bit till it's just a bit easier to handle, and I'll wash some jars and stuff. Still working through all this. I've just given the bottles a wash, as you can tell from my shirt. Now we're going to process these, so they only have to be washed in warm soapy water. They don't need to be sterilized. And I'm going to put the cordial in these. Now, anyone who's been around knows that I love these Moody bottles for cordial. They're nice, narrow mouth, easy to pour and not over pour into like the SodaStream bottles. I don't do anything special to take the labels off. They come off after a few processings, and I really just, I'm lazy. People though tell me I shouldn't call myself lazy, but honestly, it's just one of those things. It's a bit like cleaning the lids on pots and stuff. As much as it'd be nice for it to look better, at the same time, it's just one of those things that I bypass because I can. So the jars are washed in warm soapy water, but they look cloudy and stuff, which is perfectly fine for canning with. And they've still got this is all on the outside, it's the labels. So I'm going to decant the cordial into these. I might use this to decant it to start with because it's going to be, I normally use my jug. I'm not sure where my jug is. The pot's going to be too heavy to do initially though. So all I'm doing is decanting into the jars, and I should get 4 or 5 jars out of this. And then I'm going to process it. Now, the biggest con to these jars, or the only con to these jars really, is that they're too tall for the steam canner. So I instead have to steam can them in the pressure canner, which is fine. It's just the steam can is so nice and light and easy to use, and then the pressure canner is just awkward, but it's fine. So yeah, these will be steam canned in my pressure canner because these jars are too tall for the steam canner, which is just a bit of a bummer. And I do sometimes put my cordial in quart jars instead because they fit in the steam canner, but this cordial is mainly for the children, and I really feel like these jars are the most efficient. Now you will notice too that it's pretty liquidy. I haven't turned this into a syrup. It is a thinner cordial. Oh, I've overdone that one, damn it. And it will, talking and doing at the same time, this is going to go everywhere. No, nothing I can do about it. It will require a bit of a higher ratio because I haven't like cooked it down to a syrup, but we prefer that. It means that it goes between a few more jars as well. Personal choice there. We use less sugar and I don't syrupify it, and yeah, I'm making a mess. So let me just get these filled and then I'll get sorted to clean them. All right, so we've got 5 bottles and there's a tiny bit left. The kids can have that with dinner tonight. I've got some white vinegar on paper towel, just giving the rims a good clean. These are lug lid jars, so you want to clean the actual tracks of the thread as well as the top, because it's the whole thing that sort of ends up suctioning onto the jar. And then where's my lids that I washed here? So I also like to run a little bit of vinegar inside the lids. These are reused lids. I haven't bought new ones in a while for this size. I keep on forgetting. They're not from wherever I bought jars from last time. They don't carry this size. So I bought bulk 63s and 82s, but they didn't have these, so it's fine. So we're just going to tighten these on. Lug lid jars, you want them tightened on really firm. This one has some bouncing in that lid. I might use this one instead because it looks in better condition. There we go. So lug lid jars, lid gets put on really firmly, not like 2-piece lids where you only fingertip tighten. 6 jars. I think I've been saying 5. I got 6 and a little bit extra. So now I just need to get my pressure canner out. It was the little bit extra. I'll put it in a jar and in the fridge and they can use it over the next couple of days. I've got this bit of orange juice here that still needs to be done something with too, a little bit of lime juice, but I don't think I'm going to juice anymore today. I think I've had enough for today, and I think I'm going to make them a really simple dinner. Darryl isn't here at the moment, won't be home until late, so I'll probably make them one of those raviolis from the freezer. All right, got my Presto pressure canner, got rack to go in the bottom. I need some water. There we go. About 3 quarts of water in the bottom like normal. We're going to warm this water up because the jars are hot. We're going to turn it on and get this water warm. Then we're going to stick the jars in and run it as a steam canner. I'm sure I've done it before here, but your pressure cookers can be run as a steam canner. All you do is you put the lid on, you wait for your steady stream of steam to be coming out, and you start your timer. Because that's all a steam canner is that the steam has built up to such a level that it's coming out the top, and that means that the pressure inside the canner is appropriate for water bath canning. If I can water bath can these, but at the height that the jars are, I'd need most of the pot of water, and water's a bit of a commodity for us. So steam canning is much more efficient on water, but also it's easier on my back and everything else, especially on this oven. Because the oven's so high. Over on the camp chef it's not so bad, but on this oven, the height of it really, let me see if I can bring it to me rather than talking to my hands. This oven, the height of this oven is really awkward for lifting things up and down off it. So I don't like doing full pots on here because of that. I do use the camp chef for that, generally speaking. But when steam canning, there's not much weight to it. And the aluminium pot is pretty light too. So that water's already getting up pretty warm. Gas stoves, beauty of that. So all I do is I put these hot jars into the hot water. Five, one more. Alrighty. Center them a little bit because that's what happens when the water, when it's going, they center themselves. Then I'm going to put a lid on it. It's underneath my shelf here. Now, I've just had another comment about the color of my pots and lids and stuff like that, and I did reply to her that I understand for some people it's a bit triggering, if you want to use that word. It's not my favorite word, but because it's just not something they could tolerate themselves, and I understand that, and I completely understand that, and that it's, you know, it has its moments. Now you see the inside of the lid is cleaned because everything is stored face down, so it gets washed and it's stored face down on the shelving, but the top is facing upwards, and we live in dust and dirt and an open environment. And yes, I could sit here and spend 10 minutes scrubbing it, and 10 minutes isn't very long. It isn't. But the thing is that the next time I picked it up, it'd still take me 10 minutes. It wouldn't matter how long I spent cleaning it now. That same amount of cleaning is going to be required next time. So for me, it just doesn't seem like a particularly good use of my time. But I completely understand that for some people it would be really important. Why is this not lining up properly? I've got it around the wrong way. It's me. That for some people it would be really important to have these super clean for their own mental health and whatever else. For me, it really just doesn't bother me. It does. No, actually, it's not that it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me enough to make it a priority. I hate the fact that everything's covered in dust and dirt. It's annoying. But at the same time, we've been out here for like 6 years, and to a degree, I'm used to it. And also, it's how you pick and choose to spend your time. So, yes, completely agree. Could totally clean this in 15 minutes before I film with it, and then not have to have this speech. But it's just not one of my priorities. Inside of everything I use is clean. My bench is always sanitized. Anything that I use for cooking is always cleaned, and everything else. The external part of this sort of thing, it's just not really something I worry about. And I may even just not even put this in the video because I get comments about it, and yeah, we'll see. Anyway, in here we're going to wait for this to steam, and then we'll start the timer. All right, so we've got steady stream of steam, and the valve is just about to pop up. I can hear the sound changing. So once that pops up, we're going to start the timer for about 15 minutes. It's going up now. It's not quite a quart, it's a bit bigger than a pint, but it's a citrus cordial. We just want it to seal, so we want a minimum of 15 minutes at my altitude. You could do a minimum of 10 minutes. It's like a jam. Basically, you're looking at canning a jam. So we're going, there we go, popped up. So I'm now going to do 15 minutes for those jars. I could do 20 to be safe if I wanted to, since they're a bit bigger than a pint. But generally speaking, I find 15 minutes enough. So now that that's gone up, steady stream of steam, 15 minutes. And once that 15 minutes is up, I will do the normal things. Turn the heat off, let it cool a bit, crack a lid, pull them out, and I'll bring you back to show you what they look like done. And that's about it for me today. So I don't know how these videos are going together, whether they're like one day per or not. It really depends on what I do in each of those days. It was very warm, but yeah, so I can't find my jar lifters. They have gone missing yet again. It happens regularly, but this has been off for a while. So, and the lids are nice and firm because they're lug lids. So all I'm going to do is just lift them out, and then they will seal. There we go, 6 jars of lime, orange, strawberry cordial for the children, done. And Yep, that's me out for today. Today is Wednesday. I'm going to make them dinner shortly. It's 4:30, so I've just pulled them all outside. They come off any sort of devices at 4:30, and they have to do whatever the tasks I require, whether it's cleaning or whatever, and animals and showers and dishes and dinner and all that before they go back on them. So for the moment, they're all out there doing that, and I'm going to just supervise, and then I'll make some dinner. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.